Hey guys. Part 15. This is what if Naruto took care of Sasuke who turned into a baby. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 36. Lurking in Darkness. September 3rd, 6 months later. The woman was still drugged, lying on the beautiful bed she had shared with her husband for the past 8 years. They would never sleep in that bed together again. Her hands were soaking with blood, as well as her face, hair, feet, and clothing. The blood wasn't hers. It belonged to her 2 sons and her husband. They all had their throats slashed by the small knife, carefully placed on top of the nightstand, with her fingerprints on it. I had everything planned out, of course. Saya opened her stupid brown eyes and stared at me, the person who killed her family. I could tell that she still couldn't move her arms or legs. The drug was too strong, so she could only sob and moan miserably. Why? She asked with tears running down her face smeared with blood. You shouldn't have gotten in my way, I said, with an annoyed grimace. You were always so stupid, Saya. You never knew when to shut fuck up. I won't let you ruin everything, you hear me? My boys, my husband. Dead. All dead. But don't worry, you'll be with them soon. Saya's head felt heavy. It was almost impossible to think. Still, she managed to realize the gravity of the situation she was in and the horror that had occurred. You and your husband have been fighting recently, right? No wonder. Everyone in the village saw you cheating on him right in the middle of the square. No. Not me. Saya groaned, unable to avoid the tears. I would never. Of course it wasn't you, stupid bitch. It's called Henj no Jutsu. I turned into you. I learned a lot of new stuff, huh? The thing is, everyone will think that your fight with your husband went too far. Mad with despair, you killed him and then you killed your children. Since you don't have any reason to live anymore, you killed yourself in the end. Saya tried to escape, but she couldn't resist the glass of water mixed with poison that was forced into her mouth. The young woman's body winced a few times before her eyes turned glassy and dead. My gloved hands grabbed Saya's delicate hands and put them around the cup, leaving there her bloody fingerprints. Everything had gone as planned. The only thing I had to do was to get rid of these dirty clothes and clean the few footprints I left. It wasn't the first time I killed, nor would it be the last. It was a feeling of power, control, and pleasure that I had never felt before. I was exhilarated. Soon, this damn village would disappear from the map with screams. All those brainless villagers will feel my wrath. They will pay for my grief and despair. I will have my revenge. September 4th, the day after. Sasuke's onyx eyes lit up with joy and excitement when Princess Fune escaped a deadly jutsu and defeated her mortal enemy, the evil Mao. The small theater was filled with people of all ages. It wasn't every day that a film with the famous actress Fujikaze Yuki premiered in the small Muruki village. The older spectators couldn't believe that such a beautiful and talented actress was also the daimyo of the land of spring, Kazuhana Koike. The youngest, however, only wanted to know how the movie was going to end, indifferent to the private lives of the actors and actresses. Sasuke had come to see the premiere of new film with 6 other children who lived in his neighborhood. The older sister of one of his classmates, a moody teenager named Mami, sat with her arms crossed over her flat chest, sulking. Her mother had made her bring her younger brother and the neighborhood kids to the movies against her will, like she had no other plans or a social life of her own. Mami would have preferred to see the romantic movie that was in the next room or go out with her friends. But her mother had told her that she spent more time with her friends than with her own family. She called her mother old-fashioned and boom. She had been punished to learn to have respect for her elders. Now, she had to spend all day with a bunch of snotty kids and watch some dumb movie about dumb ninjas. Sitting in his seat, Sasuke didn't care for Mami's bad temper. The film was so amazing. It had ninjas, adventure, danger, and chakra. It was exactly the life he wanted to live when he was a real ninja as well. When the movie ended, the children left the theater talking excitedly. As they walked the village's streets, the boys grabbed some sticks and pretended to be fighting with swords. Before going home, They stopped at the candy store and kept talking about the movie. As he had recently celebrated his 6th birthday, Sasuke was proud to be one of the big kids, which meant he could go alone to school as long as he went with the other kids from the neighborhood where he lived. Maruki was a village dedicated to its diamond mines and timber industry. Those who didn't work in the mines were lumberjacks who spent all day cutting large trees, carrying heavy logs to build new dams and export wood. The village was located in the middle of a mountain, surrounded by giant trees, rivers, and waterfalls. 50 years ago, the village had been a small cluster of modest homes, but the founders turned it into a reference point in world trade. As they ate their candy, the children continued to report what they saw in the movie. "Princess Fune is so cool and strong," Junko said. "I want to be just like her." "Yeah. She's really cool. Did you see how she threw Mao flying against the tower? This time he's really dead," Kayashiro exclaimed. "Mao never dies. He always comes back in the next film," Chia said. "Even if he comes back, Funheim will beat him again," said Noriaki. "She has the power of the 7-colored chakra. Nobody wins that chakra." "But that chakra is not real," said Sasuke. "Huh? And how do you know that, Sasuke?" Shinya asked. "Each person has a different chakra," the raven explained. "A person can't have chakra of different colors. I saw it in a book." "Wow, Sasuke-kun. You know a lot," Chia said, blushing. Shinya pouted. "P-theft. Just because it's not in the books, that doesn't mean it's not real," Shinya said. "It's true." The children turned back and smiled, especially Shinya. One of the maids of the candy store approached them with a tray full of sweets and fresh juices. "Akane ne-chan," Shinya said, not hiding the huge crush he had for her. Himura Akane was a delicate and pretty young woman. She had long black hair, white perfect skin, and sweet and soft violet eyes. She wore the shop's purple kimono, simple but elegant. "I heard that Princess Fune's new film premiered," Akane said with a gentle smile. "You liked it?" "Yes," the children answered in unison. "I wish I could have gone to see it," Akane sighed. "Fujike's Yuki is a very good actress and very beautiful." "You're 1,000 times prettier than her," Akane ne-chan, Shinya said, blushing when Akane smiled. "Really? You're very kind, Shinya-kun, a true gentleman," Akane replied, handing out the sweets. "Akane!" Tama, the old shop owner, called. "You have other customers waiting. Stop wasting time and move that skinny ass." Laughing, Akane returned to work. "I'm going to marry her," Shinya announced. "Don't be stupid. She's like old," Junko answered. "No, she's not. And she's real pretty. I'm gonna make her my girlfriend." Ah. As if. After they finished eating, and Mommy paid the bill with a grimace of anger, the children ran down the streets of the village and forced their nanny to let them visit the timbers who were working near the forest. Many of the children's relatives were loggers, woodcutters, and blacksmiths who worked there. Therefore, the kids were received with light-heartedness. As usual, when they were on a break, the woodcutters decided to make some friendly spars between them, not only to have a reason to bet but also to state their male ego. Most loggers were as large as the logs they carried, so the fights were always interesting. The men let the children sit beside them and watch the fights, shouting and betting on who would win. The battles were long and they often ended up with one of the fighters pushed outside the improvised ring. Of course, everything changed when Kaido was called to fight. Although he had been in Maruki for only 2 months, Sasuke knew perfectly well who Ishida Kaido was. He had come to the village 3 years ago and requested a job as a lumberjack. He was muscular, but not as much as the other lumberjacks of the village. They had made fun of him, and said he wouldn't last a week at work. He proved them wrong. When Kaido entered the ring, he avoided a punch and a kick from his opponent. With 3 well-aimed blows, Kaido threw the other man out of the ring. The crowd screamed in excitement, including Sasuke. There were rumors that Kaido was a samurai who decided to change his way of living, or even a rogue ninja. In Sasuke's head, Kaido represented the perfect ninja, strong, calm, cool, and bright. Like the other children, the little raven cheered his hero. Naruto was walking home after a hard day of training. He had found a perfect cave to work out, right behind a waterfall, where he could train without being interrupted or hurt someone unintentionally. He soon reached the village, but had to hurry if he wanted to get home before Sasuke. It had been 6 months since he had spoken with Team 10. Now, all his comrades and teachers knew he had a young child of his own in his care. Good thing I wasn't there when they told them, the blonde thought. I don't want to imagine Sakura-chan and Kakashi-sensei reactions. Sakura-chan would probably beat me into a pulp. Naruto stopped when he saw a huge crowd around a small house. Curious, the blonde moved towards the crowd and asked a woman what was going on. It's horrible, said a tearful woman. Saya killed herself. That wasn't the worst, another woman said. The authorities said she cut her husband and children's neck off before killing herself. Naruto looked through the crowd and saw 2 men dressed in black, carrying a gurney with someone under a sheet. A dead body. I knew that she and her husband were having problems, cried a young woman who someone identified as Saya's sister. But she never said that things were so bad. This must be a mistake, she wouldn't do such a thing. Naruto had never said more than 2 words to Fukui Saya, but had seen her at the grocery store and the playground with her 2 children. She seemed to be a cheerful woman who loved her children deeply. How could a mother kill her own children because she was fighting with her husband? What the hell is wrong with this village? One man said. This looks like the death year. Interested, Naruto turned to the man. What do you mean? Oh, Naruto-san, you have only been here for 2 months. I guess you don't know, a lot strange deaths have occurred throughout the year, the young man explained, obviously interested in talking with the expert ninja on the subject. In January, the oldest granddaughter of the village's treasurer fell into the river and drowned. In February, old Makoto and his wife, the owners of the 3 largest mines in the village, were killed when their house burned down during the night. In April, my cousin's fiancée died the night before her wedding. She fell down the stairs and broke her neck. 2 weeks later, a group of teenagers were camping in the forest and were never seen again. In May, the grandson of our chief of police accidentally drank bleach and eventually died in the hospital. In June, the pathologist's sons killed each other because of a girl they both loved. A week later, she slashed her wrists in the bathroom. Naruto nodded slowly. It was very strange that so many deaths had occurred in a single year, especially in a small village. I had no idea, said Naruto. When we moved here, I was told this was a quiet village. And it always was. For decades, deaths were always due to old age or accidents in the mines or the woods, but this year seems cursed. There haven't been so many deaths ever since the incident. Naruto blinked. Incident? Hansuki cried, a voice behind them. Don't bother Naruto-san with your silly theories. The mayor strode towards them. He was a middle-aged man, tall and with a stern face. Sorry, Sir, Hansuki said, acknowledging that he had said too much. He wasn't bothering me, Naruto answered promptly. What was the incident? Despite his stern face, the mayor's eyes became sorrowful. It was one of the greatest tragedies that happened in this village, about 15 years ago. A mass murder, the mayor said. But that has nothing to do with this tragedy. I can't believe the young Saya was able to do such a thing. The mayor went to the relatives of the dead, and Naruto decided to return home. He had to admit he was curious about the incident. He would try to find out more about it later, if he didn't forget. Mommy and Sasuke went up the stairs and waited as she rang the doorbell. The teenager was tired and angry for losing a whole day with a bunch of brats. It was like she had nothing better to do. The village's festival was tonight, and she hadn't even chosen a kimono or makeup yet. How did her mother think she would get a boyfriend if she wasn't careful about her appearance? She was 16. She wasn't a little girl anymore. Irritated, Mommy rang the bell again. Fortunately, Sasuke was the last kid she had to take home. I'm coming, a male voice said, followed by the sound of a key. When the door opened, Mommy's frown disappeared in a flash. In front of her was a young and absolutely gorgeous man. Unconsciously, Mommy moved a hand through her hair. Hi, she said, unable to take her eyes off his attractive face, deep blue eyes and sculptured body. For a moment, she forgot all about the child behind her. She was too busy noticing that the man shouldn't be much older than her and, therefore, possibly available. "Hi," Naruto said. "You must be Mommy. Did come to bring Sasuke home?" The girl blinked, remembering the annoyed young boy behind her. Yes, I came to bring Sasuke-kun home," she said, pushing Sasuke's shoulders into the house. Sasuke frowned and took off his sandals. Girls were all weird when they talked to his father. "Sasuke-kun," Mommy said softly, in an attempt to impress the blonde. "I didn't know you had a big brother? Why didn't you tell me?" With that, Sasuke got even angrier. "He's not my brother," the raven said. "He is my dad." Mommy became as pale as a ghost. Oblivious of what was going on, Naruto took leave of Mommy and shut the door. "So? How was the movie?" Naruto asked cheerfully. "It was cool," Sasuke said simply. He was still angry with Mommy. He didn't like when people thought that Naruto was his brother or cousin, or even just an acquaintance. Sasuke thought that his two-chan wouldn't have had this problem with Grandpa Minato. They were so alike that people should know they were father and son right away, unlike what happened with Sasuke. He hated to be reminded that he was adopted. "What's wrong, Sasuke?" Naruto asked. "Did something happen?" "No." "Were you afraid of the movie?" "No!" the child exclaimed, offended. "Two-chan, I'm not a baby." Naruto laughed. "I know that you're not a baby," the blonde replied, amused with Sasuke's pouting. "I wasn't scared of the film. It was really cool. There were ninja fights and ninjutsu. Real one." "And what about Princess Fyun? How was she?" Naruto asked, remembering nostalgically the Nei-chan he chased all over for an autograph. At the time, he had been delighted with the idea of protecting a princess from a bad guy like in the movie. It was worth it. Yuki Nei-chan had said he was the world's strongest ninja. Though his autograph picture could have been a better one. God! Out cold in a hospital bed. He was even drooling. "She fought really well," Sasuke said. "But the seven-colored chakra is not real. All the other kids thought it was real, but I know it's pretend." "I don't know, maybe it is real," said Naruto. "There are many amazing things in this world that are not in the books." Sasuke looked at him with a mixture of doubt and wonder. What did his dad know about chakra? Sasuke never saw him reading books about ninjas. He probably didn't know anything about them. "Really?" "I think so." "Okay. Get ready for your bath," Naruto said. "We need to dress your kimono before going to the festival." While Naruto helped Sasuke bathe and put on his light blue kimono, wrapping it wrong 3 times, Sasuke could only think that his father looked so weak and silly in comparison with the other kids' parents. And there was no way he could compare himself to Kaido, who was the coolest man he ever knew. In Sasuke's eyes, Naruto was clumsy and uncool. He was always laughing like a clown, and wasn't serious like the ninja he admired from the stories. Seeing Naruto struggling with his own obi as if it were a snake, Sasuke felt slightly happy to be like his father Fugaku, who was a lot more remarkable. Sometimes, Naruto was so silly and wimpy that Sasuke felt embarrassed. When Naruto was able to tie the obi and smiled at him a little self-conscious, Sasuke quickly forgot his embarrassment and smiled back. He couldn't be mad at him, he just couldn't. No matter how uncool Naruto was. "He may be silly, but he's my two-chan," the little raven thought, clutching Naruto's warm and comforting hand. The village streets were decorated with colorful lanterns, paper tapes, and many tents. Adults and children cheerfully moved forward, dressed in colorful kimonos. Naruto let Sasuke try to catch a fish from a pool with a small paper spoon and bought him sweets to cheer him up when the raven failed. Then, they placed a paper lantern in the river. They saw it move away with the others, making it one of the many bright lights of the river. When the fireworks started, Sasuke couldn't see a thing because of the people who were in front of him. Realizing this, Naruto grabbed Sasuke's arms and placed him upon his shoulders. "Can you see it now, son?" Naruto asked. "Yes," Sasuke replied, clinging to Naruto's shoulders. "Thank you, Daddy." Naruto replied with a smile and turned to the colored lights in the sky. Sasuke leaned his head to his father's blonde hair. Naruto could be weak and looked nothing like Kaido, Fugaku, or the ninjas in the stories he read or saw in the movie, but he was still his gentle and smiling daddy. The crowd continued to cheer and applaud the fireworks, blissfully ignorant that a shadow was lurking in the darkness. Chapter 37, Red Lily. Uzumaki. Uzumaki! Sasuke blinked and looked at his left, where his teacher was staring at him with his eyes filled with anger. Did you hear anything of what I said, Uzumaki Sasuke? The old professor asked. Or were you more interested in taking a nap? Sasuke felt his cheeks flushed, but remained calm. I'm sorry, Takara-sensei, the Raven said. Takara was an old stern man who believed in discipline above all else. Those children had come straight from the kindergarten, where they only played and did what they wanted to. At age 6, it was time to learn to work and realize that life was not all fun. Come here, the sensei ordered, pointing to the old blackboard. You will show to your classmates how to write this sentence. Sighing slowly, Sasuke got up from his desk and went obediently to the board. School was much harder than the nursery. They almost could never play, they had to do homework, tests, and the teachers were not as friendly. Why did Takara-sensei like to address everybody by their surname? With a frown, Takara pointed to the chalk. Sasuke grabbed the small piece of white chalk and copied the sentence written on the board. When he finished, he saw that the sentence was perfect. The kanji were a bit clumsy, but Sasuke smiled when he saw that he had managed to copy the sentence without making any mistakes. The writing is very crooked, grumbled Takara. As a homework assignment, you will write this sentence 10 times. Now go back to your place and pay attention. Sasuke wanted to stick his tongue out, but he kept a straight face and returned to his place. He didn't like school. Sure, it was good to read and write. To know how to count was also good, and Sasuke could do everything better than all his classmates. However, this wasn't what he wanted to learn. He wanted to learn ninjutsu. He wanted to train with shuriken and kunai, or even a real sword. There were so many things he would rather learn. He had asked his father to let him go to a ninja school, or get a teacher or a shusho to train him. But Naruto had merely smiled and told him that his training would begin soon. Sasuke had to be patient first and learn the basics in school. Sasuke had been angry, but soon remembered what happened when he wanted to go with the ninja on the land of foam. Honestly, the Raven wanted to be a ninja more than anything, but he wouldn't leave his dad behind. The mere idea to leave Naruto, even to train, made him panic. Sasuke wouldn't go away. He wanted his father to see him training and become a ninja. He wanted to see his face with pride the day that his dream became a reality. A few minutes from the end of class, Takara asked for silence. I have here the results of the test you did last week, the teacher said, making most of the students tremble. Unlike his classmates, Sasuke wasn't frightened by the results. The test was easy. He had everything right for sure. When he arrived home, after having taken the test, he told his Tuchan that he was sure he'd get an excellent. Naruto had smiled with pride and told him he was saving a space in the refrigerator to place the test. Sasuke couldn't wait to show it to him. He wanted to hear his daddy praise him. He wanted to hear him say that he expected nothing less of his child. On the front row, Shinya and Junko got their tests. Junko smiled with relief, but Shinya was terrified. Sasuke could see his dark blonde hair shaking. Noriaki, Chie, and Kayashiro received their test and sighed with relief as well. When Takara-sensei came up to Sasuke and handed him the sheet, the Raven received it with a slight smile, which died the moment he saw the grade in the left corner of the test. Very good. 80%. He had only managed to get 80% on the test. This is wrong, the Raven thought, looking at the test. I'm sure I did okay. I should have got 100%. I should have got an excellent. His first reaction was to blame the teacher. Takara didn't like him and had evaluated the test wrong, but when he looked at his answers, the Raven didn't want to believe what he saw. With bitterness, Sasuke realized he had made mistakes in math and committed several errors in the sentences. It wasn't Takara-sensei's fault. Sasuke was the one who was wrong. Miserably, the Raven put the test in his backpack. "Ga, my Ka-chan will kill me," lamented Shinya. "Come on, Shinya said calmly. It's not so bad. Easy for you to say, the blonde replied, with his shoulders down. You had a very good. I had a bad. It was a bad plus. Ka-chan is gonna ground me. I won't be able to visit Akane-ne-chan in the candy store. Junko snorted with irritation and contempt. You really are stupid, the girl whispered. Shinya looked at Junko, but the girl pouted and turned away. Shrugging, Shinya noticed that Sasuke stood slightly away from the group, his dark eyes fixed on the floor and a worried expression on his face. What's wrong with you, Sasuke? The blonde boy asked. Sasuke looked away. Nothing. You had the highest grade in class, Shinya grumbled, not hiding his envy and frustration. You should be happy. Sasuke looked at him with an annoyed expression. What did Shinya know about him? I don't want to talk about it, Sasuke muttered. And you don't know anything, so shut up. Shinya pouted and grimaced. Sasuke replied, sticking his tongue out. The 5 children continued to walk until they reached a portion of a road that split in two, an old trail up and the road that they used to take to get to their homes. As Shinya wasn't in any hurry to deliver the test to his mom, he ran across the old trail. Shinya! What are you doing? Kayashiro said. The boy smirked. I'm peeking at the haunted mansion, Shinya said. Sasuke blinked, confused. But the other kids knew perfectly well that Shinya was talking about. Don't be dumb, muttered Junko. Let's go home. Why? Are you afraid of the ghosts? Shinya teased Dr. Alwasas. I'll see the mansion. Shinya ran up the trail. I'm not a wuss. Noriaki grumbled, chasing Shinya. Me neither, Kayashiro said. The children began to run on the trail. Although confused by what was happening, Sasuke followed them, jumping over rocks and pulling the weeds from his path. When he finally reached the other children, Sasuke's eyes widened. It was a mansion, but it was almost as big as a castle. The roof was covered with blue tiles and the walls, although covered with ivy and weeds, were still white. In the garden were planted several willows around a green and abandoned lake. The whole mansion was surrounded by an ugly rusty metal mesh to prevent people from entering. Wow! Chia said. It looks like a king's palace. It's so beautiful. Is it true that it is haunted? Noriaki asked. Of course it is. My grandma told me, Kayashiro said with a straight face. During the night, we can hear the ghosts of the Nakano family screaming. Who was the Nakano family? Sasuke asked. Huh? You don't know? Everyone knows that story. Shinya teased. I don't live here, said Sasuke, increasingly angry with Shinya. That's why you all know the story and I don't. It's true, Chia intervened. Sasuke-kun just came to the village. Blah blah blah. Okay. I'll tell you, but if you get scared and start crying is not my fault, Shinya said, smiling with satisfaction when he saw Sasuke frowning with annoyance. A long, long time ago, a wealthy family lived in this mansion, the Nakano. Mr. Nakano was the former mayor of the village, and it was he who decided to build the mines here, so he was very rich with the diamonds and had many children. After marrying Mrs. Himiko, Junko interrupted. Shinya looked at Junko angrily. Okay, who cares? Mr. Nakano and his wife. Mrs. Himiko, Shinya added when Junko stared at him with a scowl. They both died in an accident in the mines, so Hideo, the eldest son, became the new lord of the manor and the diamond mines. Everything was going well when, one night, a killer got on the mansion. Shinya pointed to the house. And killed Hideo, and all his younger brothers and sisters. Stop! Chia groaned. The killer got on the house and cut Hideo's head off, the blonde boy continued, ignoring Chia. Then he cut his sisters and brothers into pieces and threw his baby brother into the lake. Stop! Stop telling this story. I don't want to hear it. Let's go home. Chia whimpered, very frightened by the story. You're really a baby, Chia grumbled. Shinya. I'm going in. What? Noriaki said. Don't be silly, Shinya. Shinya easily lifted a rusty piece of the network. They say they never cleaned the blood off the floor and the walls, Shinya said, excitedly. I want to see if it's still there. HMPF, that stupid Sasuke huffed, crossing his arms over his chest. Shinya was such a complete moron. The blonde was about to enter the garden of the mansion, when a large, tanned hand grabbed his wrist, making him scream. Caught by surprise, all the children screamed, certain that it were the ghosts who wanted to take them to the other world. "This isn't a place for children," a stern voice said. When the kids stopped crying, they saw who had grabbed Shinya wasn't a ghost. It was a tall man with dark brown hair down to his shoulders and hazel eyes. Kaito-san," Shinya stammered. Seeing the coolest man in the village, the children sighed with relief. "What are you doing here?" the young man asked. "The school is over, why aren't you home?" Shinya wanted to see the haunted mansion, Noriaki said. "We came after him." "Well, he wanted to go into the mansion," Chia said. Kaito stared at Shinya with a frown. "An abandoned mansion is not a safe place for you to play," scolded Kaito. "I'm not scared," Shinya said. "I'm not afraid of ghosts." Kaito's eyes softened, but his voice remained serious. "I believe you. But look for danger is not the same as being brave, it's foolish and risky." Shinya blushed up to his hair. Sasuke couldn't help smiling. Nice, the raven-haired boy thought. That'll teach you not to talk big. "Now go home," said Kaito. "Your parents will be worried." "Hi!" the children responded in unison. Nah, Kaito-san?" Shinya said. "Could you teach us to fight? You know, like in the spars between the loggers. You're so cool. When I grow up, I want to be as strong as you." Kaito chuckled. "I'll think about your offer. Now go home. It's getting dark." More excited than embarrassed, Shinya nodded and the children went back down the trail. Despite never admitting it, Sasuke was glad that Shinya had the nerve to ask Kaito to train them. When all the kids said goodbye and headed to their respective homes, Sasuke remembered the test that was in his backpack. Naruto had come home early despite having been very busy since early morning. Thanks to its clones, he had been able to do the equivalent of 10 D-rank missions in a C-rank. There had been a pathetic attempt to steal a box of diamonds when the miners were taking it to the village and Naruto had been hired to protect them. Although he missed the thrills and challenges of the missions he had with Team Kakashi, Naruto felt quite satisfied with his day's work. It had become comforting to go home, knowing that he wouldn't be alone because he had a family that was waiting and needed him. Smiling, the blonde ninja came home and took a long and relaxing shower. Afterwards he dressed and clean. Naruto went to the kitchen thinking about what to make for dinner. He eventually learned to cook more than ramen. Over the years, Naruto struggled to learn to do all kinds of meals. He even endeavored to eat fresh vegetables, despite still hating them, but he had to set a good example to Sasuke. That's what parents did, and Naruto, more than anything, wanted to be a good father and raise Sasuke as it should be. While making dinner, Naruto remembered the conversation he had with the miners who had hired him. He didn't forget the famous and mysterious incident, and wanted to know more about it. The miners told him all they knew, including some strange assumptions about the massacre of the Nakano family. Not only was it terrible that the murderer had killed a loved and respected teenager in the community, but also mercilessly killed his younger siblings, small children including an 8-month baby. The killer was never caught or discovered, or even his motives. Nothing had been stolen in the mansion and the young heir, Nakano Hideo, had no enemies. He had been a kind boy, honest and fair. His loss was much mourned. The villagers were still shocked because there had been no reason for the massacre. The current mayor and Mr. Nakano's younger brother, Nakano Aoki, hated when people talked about the massacre. He didn't even want to think about the night he lost almost his entire family. Naruto met all sorts of criminals throughout his life. There was always a reason to kill someone, even just for pleasure or greed. Probably the Nakano killer also had his reasons, no matter how obscure. The blonde shinobi couldn't help it, and remembered the Uchiha massacre. Apparently, there had been no reason why Uchiha Itachi killed his own family, and for years, everyone had thought he was just a monstrous and cruel ninja who had killed the entire clan, including his parents, to prove his skills. The real reason was very different. Naruto awoke from his thoughts when he heard the sound of the front door opening slowly. Oh, Kiri Nasai! Naruto cried in the kitchen while he was busy washing the vegetables in the sink. Ah, Tadaima, Sasuke answered. Naruto blinked, puzzled by the voice tone of the boy. Sasuke seemed worried. What took you so long? Naruto asked, without leaving the kitchen. Takara-sensei forced you to stay late? No, Sasuke said, running to his bedroom and putting his backpack on the bed. We played a little. Oh. Okay, then, replied the blonde. Sasuke took the damn test from his pack, frowning when he saw the grade written in red. The raven looked at the kitchen door and gulped hard. He didn't want to show the test to his dad, it was so embarrassing. Sasuke wanted him to be proud and praise him when he showed him his 100%, instead Sasuke only managed a stingy 80%. The feeling of shame and failure almost ripped his heart apart. The boy felt stupid, and the mere idea of Tuchan looking at the test and be disappointed, or even scold him, was too terrifying. He had to get rid of the test. He could throw it away, rip it to shreds and throw it to the trash, but the trash was in the kitchen. I'll hide it, Sasuke decided, going into the living room. I'll hide it behind the old books on the top shelf. When Tuchan goes to sleep, I'll go back and throw it away. Satisfied with his idea, Sasuke dragged a chair and climbed up. When he grabbed the shelf, the bookcase shook dangerously. Before Sasuke could react, the bookcase fell on him. The raven fell from the chair and covered his face with his hands to protect himself from the avalanche of books that fell upon him. Alerted by the noise and the cries of pain, Naruto dropped everything and ran from the kitchen to the living room. With an impressive speed and strength, the blonde took the bookcase on top of the child and removed the books. Sasuke was lying on his back. He had a cut on his head made by a hardcover book, and his elbows scraped when he fell from his chair. Are you alright, Sasuke? Naruto asked, worried. Where are you hurt? What hurts? Sasuke tried to suppress his tears, but couldn't. Everything hurt. His arms, head, even his bottom. It hurts, it really hurts, the boy cried. Can you move your arms? Naruto asked, ready to take him to the hospital. But Sasuke moved both arms with ease. And your legs? Can you get up? Did you hit your head on the floor? After making sure that Sasuke hadn't broken any bones, Naruto could finally breathe of relief and took the child in his arms. Despite crying in pain, Sasuke remembered to hide the test in his shorts pocket and clung to his father. Naruto sat Sasuke on the top of the toilet and cleaned his wounds with a wet cloth, while the boy moaned every time the blonde touched his wounds. It will stop hurting, Naruto said softly. These are just a few scratches. They'll heal in no time. Sasuke continued to cry silently while Naruto put the ointment on every scratch and a small bandage on his forehead. It was in times like these that Naruto wanted his regenerative ability to be inheritable, and not a side effect of being the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki. Is it better? Naruto asked, looking at the child's red and swollen eyes. Sasuke nodded slowly, and wiped his tears with the back of his hand. I'm sorry I made the bookcase fall, the little raven said. I'll pick everything up. Don't worry, we'll get the books later, Naruto said, putting the ointment and bandages in the medicine cabinet. Now, could you explain to me why you were hiding a paper on the shelf? Sasuke's black eyes widened in surprise and then panic. I wasn't, how do you? The boy stammered. Naruto merely smirked like a sly fox. I saw you hide the paper in your shorts, said Naruto. You wanted to hide it on the highest shelf, that's why it fell. Tell me, what do you want to hide from me? Sasuke felt his mouth dry and his lower lip trembled. With a trembling hand, the raven took the crumpled test from pocket and handed it to his father. Naruto smoothed the sheet and saw the test. Sasuke's heart was beating strongly and painfully due to panic. A mental picture would not leave his head. Naruto would frown and stare at Sasuke with a tight-lipped grimace of disapproval and a cold and harsh stare. That's it, he would say. Is this the best you can do? You let me down, Sasuke. That's what would happen. His father would think that Sasuke was stupid and lazy. All the pride Naruto had for him would fade away because Sasuke couldn't get anything right. He failed. That was the only thing he could think of. He had failed. Naruto lifted his blue eyes of the test and noticed that Sasuke was looking at his hands, tight in his shorts, and trembling. His face was even paler than usual, and that look, Naruto recognized it. It was fear, pure fear. The fear of being a failure. Some things never change, Team Naruto thought with a little smile. Slowly, Naruto landed a hand on Sasuke's head. The raven stopped shaking and dared to lift his face and look at his father in the eye. Naruto was smiling and Sasuke could not believe it. "You did your best, right?" Naruto said. "It was your first test in elementary school." "Not bad. I'm impressed." Sasuke's still watery eyes widened. "But I couldn't get it all right," the raven said carefully. "Okay, it would be great if you got everything right, but this test is very good," Naruto said, still stroking the hair of his astonished son. "You were disappointed with yourself for not getting a 100%, right? Don't worry, if you study a little more, I'm sure you'll get thousands of them." "But I didn't get an excellent," Sasuke continued, as if Naruto wasn't able to see the gravity of the situation. "I thought I knew everything, but I blew it." Against his will, Sasuke felt the tears sliding down his face. He felt so sad, so disappointed. He wanted a 100% so much. He wanted to see his daddy's face when he placed the test in the fridge, but Sasuke failed. "Sasuke, you did your best," Naruto said softly. "It's okay, we learn when we get it wrong." Sasuke suppressed a sob. He felt he had a stone at the bottom of his belly. I wish you were proud of me," Sasuke confessed. "I wanted to make you proud." Naruto grabbed his hand and took Sasuke to the kitchen. To the raven's surprise, Naruto stuck test in the refrigerator and knelt on the floor, staring at Sasuke's eyes. "I want you to listen carefully, Sasuke. I'm proud of you and there is no test that makes me feel less proud, because I know you always do your best. Even if you had a very good, even if you had a bad, I'm not going to stop being proud or love you less. I'm always proud of you." "Why?" the boy asked, confused. "Because you exist." Naruto let the last word sink in. "I'll leave this test in the refrigerator," Naruto continued. "Every time you look at it, you'll think that you'll get better and better. It's very easy to win, but we learn much more when we lose because we must stand up and keep fighting. The most important thing is to never give up. A loser is not the person who loses, it's the person who gives up trying." Sasuke heard all the words carefully, realizing its importance. Despite his young mind, Sasuke knew he was hearing something very important, and would never be able to forget it. Oddly, the raven felt calmer, happier, as if a huge weight disappeared from his shoulders. Almost shyly, Sasuke smiled back. "Okay, no more tears," Naruto said, with his usual smirk. Very slowly, Sasuke approached Naruto and circled his neck with his arms. Naruto only smiled and took the child in his arms, letting Sasuke lay his head on his shoulder, as he often did when he was younger. Behind his blonde-haired daddy, Sasuke saw the sun through the kitchen curtains. The raven thought that Naruto was like the sun, warm and bright. There were times when Sasuke felt the world was all dark, cold and scary, like he felt just a few minutes before. He had felt the plunge into darkness and despair, without hope of being happy again. But his Tuchan was there as a warm light to take him from the dark. He always had been. The next day, Sasuke returned to school more excited. When he looked at test in the fridge, he didn't feel like a letdown. Instead, he was determined to get better and did his best in class. Takara-sensei continued to grumble and criticize all his mistakes, but the raven wasn't defeated. The idea of failure no longer frightened him as much as the previous day. All he had to do was try again and not give up. During the lunch break, everyone noticed that Sasuke was much more cheerful. Shinya, who had been grounded for not having studied for the exam, was angry at the raven and decided to get even the only way he knew, annoying him. "You were all scared to go into the mansion yesterday," the blonde muttered. "I was the only one who was brave enough." Sasuke continued to eat his lunch, trying to ignore the class clown. "Hey! Look at me when I'm talking to you," know-it-all grumbled Shinya. "It's better to be a know-it-all than moron like you," Sasuke said, smiling before Shinya's red face. What? Say that again, asshole. HMPF snorted the raven. Shinya. Leave Sasuke alone, Junko said. You're jealous because he's got the best grade. Me? Jealous? Who is jealous of him? Shinya growled, throwing away the rest of his lunch. Where are you going? Noriaki said. I'm gonna steal the red lilies that the principal has in her office, Shinya said with bravado. Today, I'm gonna give them to Akane-ne-chan. Are you stupid? Junko squeaked. You'll be caught and get into trouble. I'm not a scaredy cat like you. Shinya grumbled, running into the school. Shinya! Junko shouted. I don't believe him. He's really dumb, Kaishiro said. When the principal finds out who stole her flowers, he'll be grounded for life. He thinks that if he gives her those lilies, Akane-ne-chan is going to be his girlfriend, Chia said. But she won't, she's a grown-up. And grown-ups date other grown-ups. HMPF Sasuke snorted again. Shinya was an annoying show-off, he deserved to be caught. Maybe that would teach him to get smarter. A few minutes later, they heard the sound of breaking glass and something heavy falling to the ground. What was that? Noriaki asked. The children got up and ran to the other side of the school. As they turned the corner, Junko screamed in horror. Shinya was lying on the floor of the playground, his arms and legs spread wide as if he were a broken doll. A pool of blood was scattered around what was left of his head. His blonde hair was now red with blood and pieces of his own brain. His dark blue eyes were empty and staring at Sasuke's face, without seeing. Sasuke heard cries from all directions and worried voices, but it was as if his brain had shut down in shock. He didn't realize he was screaming with all his strength until someone grabbed him and took him, and other children, away. Shinya's dead body still had a red lily in his hand. Chapter 38, Night of the Avenger. The bells rang as Shinya's small coffin was placed in the ditch and covered with earth. Nearly all the inhabitants of Maruki had come to the funeral. A group of women surrounded Shinya's mother, who was crying so hard she fell to the ground from exhaustion. Shinya's father started screaming when the coffin was buried, and several men had to stop him from throwing himself into the ditch. The cemetery was filled with men and women dressed in black and wailing faces. Sasuke had never been to a funeral before, except when they buried Akuma. It was the first time he came to a person's funeral. A kid, a person he knew. The Raven looked around and saw several of his classmates with their parents. Many of them were crying, especially Junko, who was Shinya's best friend since they were babies. The girl clung to her father, sobbing uncontrollably and repeating that it wasn't fair over and over. Not far from Shinya's grave, Akane stood pale as a ghost and thick tears fell down her cheeks. She knew that the last thing that Shinya had done was pick flowers to give to her. Kaito approached her and placed his hand on her shoulder. Shortly after, Akane cried in his arms. Naruto was beside Sasuke, watching him covertly. When the blonde heard what had happened at school, he had rushed there. When he got there, Sasuke was sitting on a bench, surrounded by weeping friends and teachers, white as a sheet and staring at nothing. The Raven didn't say a word all the way home and had eaten only because Naruto forced him. During the funeral, Sasuke had stood still and silent, staring at everything and everyone with an empty gaze. Naruto still hadn't reassured him. He was not sure that Sasuke was ready for that yet, therefore, he remained at his side, also silent. When the funeral was over, Naruto and Sasuke went home, walking slowly under the setting sun. Curiously, no one was on the road. It was as if the village had become deserted. They could only hear the sound of the cicadas, birds, and wind. Suddenly, Sasuke stopped on his tracks. Huh! What is it, Sasuke? Naruto asked, turning back. Sasuke remained silent, with his eyes on the ground and his hair blowing in the wind. Sasuke? Naruto asked again. Sasuke's shoulders shook. I didn't like him, the Raven said. Naruto blinked. Shinya. He was an idiot and a show-off. He liked to mock me and I called him a moron. Naruto stood still, staring at Sasuke's lowered head. He was annoying, a total idiot, but... Sasuke let out a sob. But he didn't have to die. He was dumb and annoyed me, but he didn't need to die. Naruto approached the raven and knelt before him. I know, the blonde said. Sasuke looked up and the first tears rolled down his cheeks. When he could no longer bear it, the raven burst into tears and ran into his father's arms. Naruto took the child on his lap and patted his back as he moaned and wept with his face buried in his shoulder, with his two small hands clenched in Naruto's shirt. He didn't deserve to die, Sasuke repeated through his sobs. It's not fair. Naruto continued to stroke his back, letting the raven vent all his feelings of sadness, confusion, and guilt. Naruto knew Sasuke well enough to know what he not only felt disturbed by the death of his classmate, but also for being the one that annoyed him. There were no words that could comfort Sasuke at the moment, so Naruto just took the child home. When they arrived, Naruto laid Sasuke on the bed and stood beside him in silence as the boy cried. "Two-chan?" Sasuke asked. "Yes? Why do people die?" Naruto laid a hand on the raven's head and stroked his hair. "I don't know, it's something that happens to everybody," Naruto said. "No one lives forever. But death is sad." Naruto smiled sadly. "You're right, death is sad and painful. It's sad for those who die and it's sad for those who are left behind." Naruto looked out Sasuke's bedroom window and saw a green leaf floating in the wind, before disappearing from view. "If I promise to be nicer to Shinya, can he come back?" the boy asked. Naruto shook his head. "Sasuke, Shinya didn't die because of you," the blonde said. "Unfortunately, there is nothing that can bring Shinya back." Sasuke nodded sadly. He knew it was useless to think of a way to bring back Shinya. When people died, they disappeared forever. Sniffing, Sasuke got up from bed and lay down on Naruto's lap, leaning his head to his father's chest. Naruto continued to stroke his back and spiky black hair. "The first time I went to a funeral was when the leader of our village died," Naruto told. "He was an old man who scolded me many times when I did stupid things, but I loved him. It was almost as if he were family. When he died, I was very sad. I didn't understand why he had to die, because death is sad." Sasuke raised his tearful eyes and stared at Naruto, who was still looking at the window. Naruto stood quiet during the funeral, with bandages from his fight with Gaara over his face. Next to him, Konohamaru was crying. Iruka placed a hand on the little boy's back and then kneeled and hugged him. "Iruka-sensei, why do people risk their lives for others?" the blonde asked. Iruka looked at the picture of the third Hokage. He was probably lost in his own memories of the old man as well. When a person dies, he disappears, along with his past, current lifestyle, and his future. Many people die in missions and wars. They die easily and in surprisingly simple ways. Hate was one of them, the sensei said. Those who die have goals and dreams, but everyone has something as important as those. Parents, siblings, friends, lovers, people. Who are important to you? They trust and help each other. The bond between the people important to you ever since birth. And the sting that binds them becomes thicker and stronger as time goes by. It's beyond reason. Those bound to you by that string will do that, because it's important. Naruto looked at the Sandame's picture again. Yes, I think I understand somewhat, but it's painful when someone dies. Life is important, Naruto continued. While we live, we bond with other people who become important to us. That is why it is so important to protect the people we love. Sasuke heard his dad's words carefully, although he couldn't fully understand their meaning. He remembered the talk he had with Iruka-sensei about being able to protect people. Sasuke felt that he could understand what he tried to say a bit better now. Death was sad and makes people suffer. That was why life was so important. An hour later, Naruto made a soup and took it to his son's room. Sasuke wasn't very hungry and told him that he didn't want to eat, but Naruto insisted, in a way that only parents do, and Sasuke ended up eating soup in his bed. Feeling better? Naruto asked, taking the empty bowl. A little, Sasuke replied. My eyes hurt. Then you better lie down and go to sleep. Put on your pajamas and go to wash yourself. Huh! Two-chan. But it's still early. And I'm not sleepy. You're exhausted and you yawned 3 times already, Naruto said. What you need is a good night's sleep. Come on. Oh, Sasuke grumbled, but obeyed. However, when he was ready to sleep, the raven got out of his bed and peeked at Naruto's bedroom. The blonde was also in his pajamas and was lying in bed, reading a manga. Two-chan? Naruto looked away from the book and looked at his son, who was leaning against the door jamb. What is it, Sasuke? The boy rubbed his hands against the other, blushing slightly. Want to ask me something, son? Naruto asked, smiling slightly. Oh. Can I stay here with you? Sasuke asked with his cheeks flushed. Just a little bit. Naruto smiled even more. He knew Sasuke wanted to sleep in his bed, but the boy thought he was already too old for this. Gosh, the kid was like an open book. Or maybe Naruto just knew him too well. Parents knew their children better than anyone else. Sure, the blonde replied. You can make me company if you like. Besides, I was feeling a bit lonely. Trying to hide his joy, Sasuke ran to his father's bed and lay down beside him. Naruto pulled the sheets and let Sasuke lay his head on his pillow. The raven looked at Naruto, who continued to read his book quietly, and moved closer. Shortly after, Sasuke grabbed Naruto's shirt and leaned against his warm and familiar body. Touched, Naruto placed a hand on the child's back, pulling him closer. Feeling warm and cherished, Sasuke closed his eyes and slowly fell asleep. Everything is ready. Tonight will be the final night. I'm tired of these games. It was fun, I must admit. All these small deaths, funerals, the crying, it was quite satisfying. And they don't have the slightest idea it was me. They would be surprised, shocked, and finally horrified. I wasn't expecting that the famous Uzumaki Naruto could show up here. He can be a nuisance, but I'm not worried. I can deal with him. I waited too long and trained too hard to postpone my revenge. It has to be tonight, right after the kid's funeral. It was annoying to be at the memorial service because of a pathetic little brat, but I had to keep my mask, smiling on the inside and weeping on the outside. But it's time to take this mask off and reveal all these worms that I came back to claim the justice that has been denied. Sasuke! Sasuke, wake up! Sasuke felt the hand shaking him hard, waking him from his peaceful dream. First, the boy tried to turn and go back to sleep, but Naruto's worried voice made him realize that something was wrong. Two-chan? What is it? The raven asked. You have to get dressed, quick! Naruto ordered, stripping his pajamas. Sasuke looked out the window. It was still dark, but there was an orange light outside. What's wrong? Sasuke asked again. Naruto pulled his pants up and grabbed his son, pulling him into the bedroom, where he began to undress his pajamas and dress him with the first clothes he found. In the distance came the sound of an explosion. The window panes of Sasuke's room shook. Two-chan? Sasuke asked, feeling confused and scared. What was that? We have to leave, Sasuke, Naruto said, pulling Sasuke to the hall and putting on his sandals. Why? There's no time to explain. Come with me. Naruto and Sasuke left home and ran down the stairs. Sasuke looked at the horizon and saw the towers of flame rise up from several buildings. There was a lot of smoke in the air and people screaming. What was happening? Many other people had also left their homes, some still in their pajamas, and ran along the road, asking about their family and friends. Naruto took Sasuke in his arms and ran through the crowd until he got to a group of upset women and children. Sasuke recognized some of his classmates and their mothers. Akiyama-san! Naruto shouted to one woman, who Sasuke recognized as Kaishiro's mom. Naruto-san! This is horrible! The village, it's all on fire! The woman exclaimed, her eyes filled with concern. It looks like a war scenario. My husband went to help fight the fires. He said that someone is attacking the village. They found exploding tags. Naruto's eyes darkened. I'm going to help too, Naruto said, not realizing that Sasuke's eyes had widened when the boy landed on the floor, and he pulled him in Mrs. Akiyama's direction. Get everyone who you can to the shelters. Please take Sasuke too. Of course, the lady said, clutching Sasuke's shoulders. Don't worry. We'll take care of him. Sasuke looked at Naruto and Mrs. Akiyama, confused about what was going on. Two-chan? What's wrong? The raven asked as the fear grew in his chest. Naruto knelt in front of the child and looked into his eyes. The village is in danger, Naruto said quietly. I want you to go with Akiyama-san and do as you are told, okay? She and the other ladies are going to a safe place. Sasuke felt his lip trembling. And where are you going? I'll help the other men. Be good until I get back, okay? The raven gasped in horror. No. Don't go, the boy sobbed, feeling the tears behind his eyes. Please, Papa. Stay. Naruto hugged his son tightly. I'll come back, I promise, the blonde whispered. Be good and wait for me. Before Sasuke could reply, Naruto got up and ran down the street, disappearing through the crowd and smoke. No! Papa, don't go! Don't go! Sasuke shouted, trying to go after Naruto, but Mrs. Akiyama grabbed him tightly. He'll be okay, Sasuke-chan, the lady said, although her voice was full of fear and worry. Come on, we have to go now. I don't want to go, Sasuke yelled, more and more scared. Let me go! I want my daddy! But Mrs. Akiyama didn't let go, and pulled him along with her children to the woods where there was an emergency shelter and a safe cave. Sasuke looked steadily into the burning village and the full moon, covered by black smoke from the fires. The boy couldn't help feeling that something horrible was happening. People around him were concerned, crying and even injured. All the while, Sasuke was hoping to see his father come back through the crowd, but Naruto still hadn't reappeared and no one told him where he was. Sasuke never felt so scared in his life. He just wanted his daddy back. Why did he have to go help in the village? There were more men in the village, strong men. Why did his dad have to go too? He was going to die. His father was going to die, like Shinya. Naruto wasn't strong. He should have come with Sasuke to the shelters. If he was in the midst of these explosions, he was going to die. One of Mrs. Akiyama's sons tripped, and she dropped Sasuke's hand to help him. The raven didn't even think twice and ran through the crowd, towards the village. He had to find his Two-chan. Sasuke continued to run in the opposite direction of villagers fleeing the village. The more he rushed to the village's center, the more heat and smoke prevented him from breathing. Two-chan! Sasuke shouted, looking around. Papa! Where are you? But nobody answered. That area of the village was deserted. There were just burning buildings. Papa! Sasuke yelled with all his might. Something exploded behind him and Sasuke fell to the ground, coughing violently. Daddy, the boy murmured. A shadow passed in front of Sasuke. The raven looked up and saw Kaido, covered in soot and dirt, across the street. Kaido-san! Sasuke yelled, getting up and running in his direction. Kaido stopped and looked at the child with his eyes wide with surprise. What are you doing here? He asked, abruptly. Why didn't you escape to the shelters? My dad is gone, Sasuke sighed, gazing at him with pleading eyes. Please, I can't find him. Kaido looked at the buildings on fire and ran a hand through his dirty hair. There is nothing I can do, the man said. I also came looking for someone. Go back and look for someone to take you to the shelters. Without another word, Kaido left Sasuke and ran down the street. The raven was perplexed and disappointed. Kaido had ignored him as if he was nothing. Kaido-san! Wait! Sasuke yelled, following the man. Kaido was the strongest man he knew. If anyone was able to save his father, he was. Sasuke had to convince him to help him. Kaido ran through several streets that Sasuke didn't know. Even so, the boy followed the man. Finally, Sasuke saw that Kaido had stopped near a large house that wasn't on fire, his eyes fixed on the open door. Sasuke approached Kaido slowly, but he didn't even notice his presence. The man's eyes were fixed on the woman who staggered out the door. Akane! Kaido shouted, running towards the candy lady. Akane looked at Kaido, with her messy hair and her clothes covered in blood. Kaido, she said. Kaido walked up to her and hugged her tightly. I looked for you everywhere, Kaido said in anguish. When couldn't find you at home. I immediately thought the worst, you're hurt. This is nothing, Akane said, hugging Kaido. I'm so glad you're here, Kaido. Sasuke moved closer and noticed a board above the door of the big house, Nakano family. Akane, let's go, we have to go to the shelters, Kaido said, staring at her. Why did you come to the mayor's house? Akane looked down. Then Kaido gasped. Because I came to kill him, my love, Akane said with a cruel smile on her lips. With wide eyes, Kaido and staggered away from her. With a stunned expression, he looked at the kunai that she stabbed in his chest. A trickle of blood ran from his mouth. Akane? Kaido asked before falling to the ground. Akane laughed and threw her long black hair wig to the floor. Her real hair, reddish-orange, was fluttering in the air like the flames consuming the buildings behind them. Himura Akane never existed, the woman said with a grin, staring at the dead man in front of her. Sasuke was in awe. Akane ne-chan, she had killed Kaido-san. It couldn't be. That couldn't be happening. Well now, what am I going to do with you? The woman asked, looking at Sasuke with her cold and ruthless eyes. Sasuke-kun? Sasuke was so frightened, he couldn't even move. His legs were shaking like green leaves. Why? The raven stammered. Oh. Kaito? He was getting on my nerves, Akane replied coldly. Men, they think they can have a woman just because of one simple kiss. He served his purpose, but now don't need him. So I got rid of him. Akane walked up to Sasuke and took something from her bloody kimono. A kunai. It's a shame, Sasuke-kun, Akane continued. You had bad luck. If you had gone to the shelter, maybe you'd lived a few more hours. If your father hadn't decided to come to this damn village, you wouldn't even have to die. Sasuke gasped. She was going to kill him like she killed Kaido-san. Akane had no resemblance at all to the kind and friendly woman who offered them free candy and talked with them with such gentleness. This Akane seemed crazy and dangerous, like a monster. You know, I was at your school yesterday, Akane revealed, continuing to move towards the boy. My plan was to kill a teacher or even the principal. That would disturb those dim-witted villagers. I wasn't expecting to find Shinigami-kun in the office, looking for flowers to give me. It was almost a gift from heaven. A kid's death would be much more shocking. The raven couldn't believe what he was hearing. The horror caused his bile to rise up to his mouth. You killed Shinya, Sasuke said. Akane laughed unpleasantly. You're a clever little brat, aren't you? Yes, I did. You should have seen his face when he realized he was going to die. It was priceless. Despite the horror and fear, Sasuke felt another emotion at the bottom of his heart. It was resentment and fury. Shinya liked you, the raven said. He liked you so much that he wanted you to be his girlfriend. And you killed him! As if I cared about that, Akane said with contempt. All I want is to destroy this village, but want everyone to suffer first. I want to hear their cries of despair before I kill them all, one by one. Many of them have already died tonight. After that, only ashes will remain. Sasuke finally understood. It was all Akane's fault. She was the one who had burned the village. Why are you doing this? Why do you want to hurt everyone? They didn't do anything to you, Sasuke asked, feeling a strange knot in his stomach and heart. Sasuke finally managed to move his legs, but just enough to back away a few steps, banging his back against a wall. Akane continued to approach him slowly, staring at him with her dark eyes full of hatred. Revenge, she answered. You know what that is, boy. It means that I will make them pay for what they did. I am an avenger. Sasuke saw Akane lift the kunai in the air and knew he was going to die. She was going to kill him like killed Kaido, Shinya and the others. He was never going to see his father again. Suddenly, Sasuke felt weird. His eyes were burning and he saw a line of light that radiated from Akane's kunai. By the time she attacked him, Sasuke was able to bypass the kunai and swung to the left. Akane's kunai opened a huge hole in the wall where Sasuke had been. Where are you? Akane asked, looking at the debris, confused and frustrated for failing such an easy target. Where did you go? When she looked to the side, she saw Sasuke on his knees and trying to get up. When the boy looked at her, Akane's eyes widened in genuine surprise. Sasuke's irises had become bright red, a small tomo around each pupil. Akane was a ninja long enough to recognize that eye, despite never having seen one personally. The Sharingan? She murmured, almost to herself. That's not possible. How can you have one? Sasuke didn't know what she was talking about, but it wasn't important. He had to get out or she would kill him. With some surprise, the Raven realized that he could see everything much more clearly, even Akane. Sasuke could perceive her every move, no matter how small they were, like the waving of her hair or a small movement of her fingers. Composing herself, Akane attacked him again, but Sasuke could see that she was going to attack and moved on time again. You fucking bastard! Akane yelled, continuing to attack Sasuke. The Raven jumped in time to avoid a new attack, but he stumbled and staggered. Taking this opportunity, Akane grabbed him by the neck and lifted him into the air. Sasuke kicked and tried to get her to let go of him, but it was of no use. Her grasp was too strong. Feeling out of air, Sasuke looked at Akane. Her eyes looked like small purple spots, filled with rage and bloodlust. With her other hand, she raised her kunai and Sasuke closed his eyes with a tear running down his face. Die! Akane shouted, and Sasuke flinched, ready for the pain. But the pain didn't come. Instead, Sasuke felt someone had grabbed him and pulled him away with a jump. What? Akane asked, looking straight ahead. Sasuke slowly opened his eyes and realized that Akane was several meters away. Also, there was someone holding him. When the Raven looked up, his eyes widened in astonishment. Holding him was a young man who was surrounded by an aura of enormous power. Under his blonde fringe was the traditional shinobi forehead protector, and his serious blue eyes were fixed on the woman in front of them. Sasuke had seen that face 1,000 times, but now it seemed entirely new. Tu-chan? That's it for part 15. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.